So what is the best budget graphics card in 2020? Guys, I actually went ahead and I picked up this GTX 1060 from eBay, so a used 1060. And in today's video, we're gonna try and run some graphics heavy games on it and see how a GTX 1060 holds up in 2020. And guys, we're starting right now. Hey, what is up guys, welcome to Arbin Hardware. My name is Robin and I just woke up with a terrible neck pain from my terrible posture, but that's not important. I actually got some good news for you. This is the GTX 1060. If you're looking to upgrade your gaming system but you don't want to spend a huge amount of money for something like the 1660 Super, the 1660 Ti, or perhaps an RX 5600, this video might be helpful to you. Now before we start, what is your favorite graphics card, budget graphics card I should say, in 2020, and what card would you like me to test next up? I want to know this. So this is the GTX 1060, and on the used market you can find this for as low as $100. But it typically average around $160, and so let's say we got a $160 budget, and for that kind of money right now you don't really get that much graphics power. We're essentially looking at the 1650, which honestly isn't really that good. So I figured guys, since I already got the 1060, let's run it through some of the most popular current games and find out how it performs. Now before we dive into the test results, let's start with the specifications. So when it launched, the founder's card from Nvidia had an MSRP of $299, while this particular card was a little bit cheaper, and I think it sold for something like $220 to $249 US. It's got a 192-bit memory bus, is 6 gigs of GDDR5, and so in other words, a pretty sweet upgrade over the 960, who only came with up to 4 GB. More VRAM is especially important if you want to crank up the resolution, and we will soon find out how this card handles 1440p. But anyways, it got 1280 CUDA cores and a boost clock of 1.7 GHz. Most cards should be able to reach this clock speed. Here's something to have in mind, especially if you end up with a card like this for example. These clock speeds are relative to the temperature, and so if you're able to find a card that runs relatively cool, well then you're gonna be able to see even higher boost clock speeds. And conversely, if the card is running very hot, guess what? Yeah, the clock speeds will drop back a bit, and this will obviously have an impact on the frame rate. Now since this card only got a single fan, this could lead to a slight bit lower clock speed compared to any other bigger card with a bigger cooler. And if you end up picking the VGA card for example, how do you solve this? Well, a good ventilated case is a great start, and luckily for us, I had the LAN Cool 2 ready to go, and this is guys hands down the best $95 I spent in my entire life. It's got great ventilation and it comes with 3 120 fans, and so hopefully this will help this small card out a bit. That all being said, this card has a TDP of 120 watt, so it shouldn't run too hot anyway, which is again good to know if you end up picking up this card. Now something worth also pointing out is that this card does not support SLI, unlike the 970 for example that we looked at a couple of weeks ago. Anyway guys, in case you're wondering, hey, why did they make this card so small? The answer to this is pretty simple. VGA has simply gone with the Nvidia's reference PCB, and honestly I didn't really know about this until I actually looked this up, and look at this, boom, there you have the answer. Alright, enough talk, let's get serious. So to make the whole testing a little bit more interesting, I decided to keep the testing results from my last gaming PC build, and in case you haven't watched that one, I highly recommend it, and you can find it listed down below. Anyway, as you can see, we got the base 2060 as well as the 1660 Super plus the 5700, and this gives us a better idea how the 1060 holds up versus today's upper mid-range cards. And as we can see, for the most part the 1060 actually impresses me quite a lot. It's not like it's going to blow us away or anything, but I mean, if you're looking at a cheap GPU and if you're okay with dropping the graphics details a bit, the 1060 can be a very good option. If we look beyond 1080p, this card possibly wouldn't be something I would recommend unless of course we're talking, very light graphics games such as CSGO, Fortnite, Rocket League. You get my point. That all said, any older games, let's say Battlefield 1, Crysis 3, Witcher 3, etc. These games all run pretty fine in 1440p with pretty high graphic settings. And if you're looking at specific details how this performs in terms of frame rate, you can look up reviews online for that. Overall, AAA games typically not a major issue for this card, and as we can see from this benchmark, even modded games released in 2020 should be fine for the most part. Now keep in mind, as we can see, I'm running most games with pretty high settings. Obviously you have the option of lower those a bit, and this will generate more frames as well. Now in case you're looking to upgrade and you're thinking maybe the 1060 isn't my cup of tea after all, I linked up some of my top favorite graphics cards down below, and if you want to get away as cheap as possible, yeah, you can find some of my top favorite bang for the buck graphics cards listed down below. Keep in mind you can also overclock the 1060, however this isn't really an option on this particular card, but if you're able to find a card with a beefier cooler, this is obviously also an option, and by doing some overclocking you can expect to gain about 4 to 6 and perhaps even 8 more FPS on average. And after been running these tests, well, I can also say that this card is pretty much running neck and neck with my MSI 970 Twin FORZA variant that I tested a few weeks ago, which is something worth having in mind. Anyway guys, let me know what is your favorite budget graphics card in 2020. Sound off in the comment or tweet me at RBNHardware on Twitter. And in the meantime, I want to thank you so much for sticking around. Now watch either of these two videos and I will see you guys in the next one.